I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show live. You had many places to be tonight. Chose to be here with me, and for that I am forever grateful. My guest tonight, Border Patrol agent and Border Union Representative Chris Cabero, has had a medical emergency within his family and will not be available tonight. While it is not my place to share this medical information with you, I will say this much from what I understand from talking with him. If you believe in the power of prayer, please keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers tonight and through the next several weeks and months. We will bring Chris on at another date and time when he gets through this chapter in his life. Tonight's lead story: a former Obama administration staffer, Democrat, is blowing the whistle on the Biden family's business dealings, accusing President Biden of being involved in a kickback scheme in connection with his son Hunter's overseas business dealings while he was the vice president. Something that many on the right have been saying for quite some time. Many on Fox News have been saying. Even members of CNN have been saying it, but yet it doesn't get reported enough, and many people that hear it call it a conspiracy theory. Mike McCormick, he was a stenographer for the White House for 15 years. He was on Fox and Friends. Said the FBI has been ignoring his alarms on the matter despite his willingness to testify under oath before the federal grand jury investigating Hunter Biden. In February, I went to the FBI and followed one of their tips on their website. If you do that and you're lying to them, you go to jail. I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth, and I'm not going to jail, McCormick said Thursday. Joe Biden is a criminal. He was conducting malfeasance in office to enrich his family. Jake Sullivan is a correspondent in that, and there's more Obama officials involved in it, I believe. McCormick, who worked with Biden from 2011 to 2017, detailed a key dialogue involving the vice president then. Jack Sullivan and the press of the Air Force, two people, before a trip to Kyiv, Ukraine on April 21st, 2014. Sullivan, who is the current national security advisor, outlined in a White House transcript Biden's priorities for his trip to the country, which included U.S. investments in the Ukrainian energy sector days after Hunter Biden joined the board of directors in Burmisa, according to the New York Post. Months later, well after the trip, Congress allocated $50 million to Ukraine's energy market. I'm sitting back there with a tape recorder. Jake Sullivan comes back and somebody asks about fracking. His answer is, well, we're bringing a lot of American assistance over the fracking. Burmisa was the direct beneficiary of that fracking, and that's what I recorded. And that's in a White House transcript, McCormick said. In the transcript, you don't know who Jack Sullivan is. It is a senior administration official. I'm the witness that says Jack Sullivan is the guy who said it, and he should be investigated because at the time of Hunter Biden was on board with this, and Joe Biden is bringing American taxpayer money to enrich that company and himself and his family, he continued. Hunter Biden joined the board of the Ukrainian natural gas firm on April 18th, just 3 days before Biden and his team traveled to Ukraine. But the critical piece of the puzzle was not made public until May 12th. McCormick argued the timeline of the event suggests that Biden funneled American money overseas to enrich himself and his family and use his own influence to aid his son's rookie energy career. The former Biden employee made it clear he wants to present the information under oath before a grand jury in Delaware probing Hunter Biden's business dealings. And as we all know, Hunter has been under investigation, federal investigation, since 2018, which tells you what? It's not going to go anywhere because they don't care. That's the FBI and Department of Justice I'm talking about that doesn't give a shit. The probe into Hunter's allegation violations began after suspicious activity reports regarding suspicion foreign transactions were flagged. Those SARS involved money funneled from China and other foreign nations, according to the source that's in this probe with him. And although reports suggest in months past that the investigation is approaching a critical juncture, Republican subpoena power is likely to accelerate the investigation. If David Weiss can't have me in front of his grand jury explaining what I know as a witness, that's a fraudulent grand jury, McCormick said. It's a fraudulent use of the American judiciary system to cover for Barack Obama and Joe Biden's crimes in office. Biden has repeatedly claimed that he has not spoken to his son regarding his overseas business dealings. McCormick argued the information he has incriminates Biden and likely more officials he worked with in connection with the alleged influence peddling scandal. If I went in there, I would tell them to have Barack Obama called in as a witness because he's part of this conspiracy. He's an ex-president. He has to answer who was in charge. Putting Biden in this role, did Barack Obama know about it? McCormick questioned. There's evidence I've seen and put in my Substack of April 16th. So 2 days before Hunter joins Joe Biden is with Hunter in the West Wing. They have a meeting. And then later that day in the evening, Joe Biden spends a day in a limousine in the back of Barack Obama's limousine in Western Pennsylvania. He continued, the White House refused to make any comment on what he is claiming. So this is the man who was in the inner works of the Obama administration, working for Joe Biden as vice president, who has many things to say to the FBI and Department of Justice that are investigating this deal with Hunter Biden. He's been reaching out to them since the beginning of the year to hear what he has to say, and no one has contacted him. What does that tell you about this two-tier justice system? Tells me it's pretty damn screwed up. The White House domestic policy advisor for Joe Biden is Susan Rice. She's a Black female and also served as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations during the Obama administration. The same Susan Rice who lied her ass off and told the world that the attack by terrorists on our embassy in Benghazi was about a YouTube video. Yesterday, she claimed that racism has a massive impact on the U.S. economy during a speech. Rice appeared as a guest at the National Action Networks, funded by racist bigot Al Sharpton, at a convention in New York City to speak about the White House commitment to promoting civil rights. During her speech, she made the radical claim that the United States has suffered a $16 trillion shortfall because of racism. She said in the last 20 years, the U.S. had a GDP shortfall of $16 trillion due to discrimination against Black Americans. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. She went on to say, if we closed our racial gaps, we could add another $5 trillion to the GDP over the next 5 years. She was referring to a report that was put out by Citibank. The Citibank report, cited by race, claimed the analyst in the report cites racial gaps for Blacks as wages, education, housing, and investment, and that if they were closed 20 years ago, $16 trillion would have been added to the U.S. economy. And if the gaps are closed today, $5 trillion can be added to the U.S. GDP over the next 5 years. Elsewhere during the conference, Rice attacked Republican policies regarding education and critical race theory. Let's join together to build a society where we all count, we all can be secure, living in dignity and with hope. Finally, let's stand together in defense of facts, truth, and history. She then says, today in states across the nation, we're seeing bans of children's books just because they feature prominently Black or brown characters. We're seeing Black history erased from our classrooms and textbooks. And make no mistake, those who are doing this are trying to tell us that we do not count, that we do not matter, and that perhaps we should not exist. Black history is American history, Rice said. Now, wow. Dear Susan Rice, please tell us the name of the state, the name of the city, the name of the school, or any human being that is trying to ban books about the Black race in American history or the world for that matter. And I, for one, will be happy to call them out right here on my show. But you can't, because you're just taking talking points from the racist bigot himself, Al Sharpton, making no merit comments to an audience that was 99.9% Black to claim the white man is out to get the Black man. You, like Al Sharpton, or the racist bigot that just likes to make up lies about the race in America and claim something that you cannot back up or prove, such as the war on police by saying that all cops are racist against Black people. Continuing on, a California sheriff criticized lawmakers who want to keep police dogs from biting suspected criminals or being used during protests, calling canines an important, less lethal option for law enforcement. One of our biggest success and biggest tools to de-escalate situations is the deployment of canines, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Binko told Fox News. AB 742 would prohibit police from using dogs to apprehend a suspect or for crowd control. Police dogs would not be allowed to bite people under any circumstances, according to the bill's text. Only in California. The bill does not prevent the use of search and rescue dogs or police canines that sniff out bombs or drugs. The use of police canines has been a mainstay in the country's dehumanizing cruelty and violent abuse of Black Americans and people of color for centuries, the bill reads, adding that police dogs are used by slave catchers and more recently to quell civil unrest like the Los Angeles race riots and Black Lives Matter protests. Look, the cop that's in charge of that dog and the dog, him or herself, doesn't give a fuck if you're white or Black. If you're doing something that's so damn terrible that they need to launch this police dog to take your ass down, then you deserve to be taken down by the dog. To try and say that it's racist against people that's black and brown is absolute insanity. How they come up with this nonsense, I can't wrap my head around this. It just doesn't fucking add up. No matter how you try and add this up, you can't do it. These far left liberal Democrats have lost their damn mind. Statistics from the California Department of Justice show no use of force injuries involving police dogs during the civil disordinance or assembly in 2021. No matter what they say, it didn't happen. Every agency should have canines, Blanco said, adding that very few developments of canines result or deployments of canines result in bites, and those deployments are all towards violent people. There are a few national statistics on canine use or injuries associated with police dogs, but one study showed police dogs bite sent nearly 33,000 people to U.S. hospitals between 2005 and 2013. Well, at least the cop didn't have to shoot their dumb ass and put them in the fucking ground at a burial. In California, police dogs account for nearly 14% of the use of force incidents that result in injury in 2021, according to the state's DOJ. Canine use is also largely unregulated in California. Individual police departments can set their own policies, and training guidelines published almost a decade ago are optional. So I guess what they can do is they can train the dog not to bite if you're black or brown. Only bite the white guy or the white girl that you're deployed to go after. I guess that's what we need to do, is we need to add canine training on who you can and cannot bite. You see how stupid this is? Trying to take away a tool that is a non-physical use of force for police is a horrible bill. It's just going to make criminals more emboldened and more likely to fight with us. And to be honest with you, I think that's exactly what they're looking for. So that you will have to take them out by maybe shooting them, and then they can call you a racist for doing it. A Missouri Republican state lawmaker today, and I'll repeat that, a Missouri Republican state lawmaker today said children as young as 12 years old should be able to get married, as he defended a proposed bill banning gender affirmative care for minors. Yeah, you heard me right. Senator Mike Moon, a Republican from Ash Grove, Missouri, sat before a panel on Tuesday, to defend and debate a bill that would ban all gender transition procedures for anyone under the age of 18, which stands for a reason. That's common fucking sense. Although they don't have that. The bill passed the Missouri Senate in March and is now before the House. During the questioning, Representative Peter Meredith, a Democrat, called Moon out for his stance on marriage of 12-year-olds if parental guidance were given, by saying, "You voted no on making it illegal for kids to be married to adults at the age of 12 if their parents consent to it." Meredith said to Moon, "You said, actually, that should be the law because of the parents' right and the kids' right to decide what's best for them. To be raped by an adult," was the follow-up. Moon did not deny supporting the measure. In fact, he defended it to a degree. "Do you know any kids who have been married at age 12? asked Meredith. Moon replied, "I don't need to." "I do," Moon said. Or I don't. I do, Moon said. And guess what? They're still married. Video of the senator making the statements made the rounds on social media, catching the eye of California Governor Gavin Newsom, Democrat, who tweeted about them on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the Missouri State Senator Mike Moon is advocating for 12-year-old kids to be married off to adults, Newsom tweeted. Moon retweeted Newsom's post with a statement of his own. To be clear, I do not advocate for minors being married off to adults, he tweeted, directing followers to a video he made to help clear the air. Keep your California politics out of Missouri. Democrats will say whatever they can to make sure they keep manipulating children. A spokesman for Moon spoke to Fox News Digital today, who said the 1-hour committee meeting had strict time constraints and the senator did not have time to clear up his comments before Representative Meredith moved on to the next. Let me stop right there for a second. Imagine, for those of you who've been watching this show for a long time or following me, imagine Doug Ducote as a senator who said something, regardless of what it is, if it's confrontational and they're not going to let me clarify it because we're going to move on to the next, me just, okay, move on. Not no, but hell no. Trust me. And this pansy ass didn't have the balls to stand up and go, bullshit, let me clarify this. I don't support 12-year-olds getting married to adults. But no, that's not what happened. He had been given the time, the spokesman claims. Moon would have clarified he did not support 12-year-old children getting married to adults. Moon does support, though, 12-year-olds getting married to people closer in age, like another 12-year-old. During the debate, Moon said he knew kids who were 12 years old when they got married. According to the spokesman, one of the 12-year-olds got pregnant, and the parents encouraged them to get married. The two children got married, but were raised in two different states. Once they became adults, the spokesman said, they got back together, and they've been happily married ever since. See, there's small print to this story. When asked how old the married couple is today, the spokesman said they're in their 50s. Moon also addressed the issue on YouTube today. If there's an incident in which an adult has recently married a minor in this state or Missouri, I'll make it a priority to remove and prohibit adults from marrying minors, he said. Furthermore, if a person is raped, no matter the age, the rapist should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. The question referred to a state law that looked to raise the age that minors can get married from 15 to 17, which Moon voted against. Words matter. Your statements matter. What you say matters. And if it's involving children, you better have your shit together as a member of Congress before you just start running your mouth, so that crap like this doesn't come back and bite you in your ass, which it has done in this case. The good old folks at Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, has seen its value nosedive roughly $5 billion since Bud Light's polarizing partnership with transgender activist Dalen Milani. As of close, Anheuser-Busch has fallen 5.02 and lost 4.562 billion in market cap, according to Dow Jones Market Data Group. The stock was $63 per share on March 31st and closed at $63.38 yesterday. The trans activist and social media influencer who gained popularity when given an opportunity to interview President Biden about LGBTQ, LMNOP issues in 2022, revealed earlier this month that the beer company sent packs of Bud Light with her face printed on the cans as part of an ad for the beer company's March Madness contest, in which a way to celebrate a full year of girlhood. The trans activist said the cans were her most prized possession on Instagram, with a post featuring hashtag Bud Light Partner. A video then featured the transsexual in a bathtub drinking a Bud Light beer as part of the campaign, but the pack was met with significant criticism. Anheuser-Busch stock plummeted across as country singers John Rich said he pulled cases of Bud Light from his Nashville, Tennessee tour in his bar as part of the boycott against Anheuser-Busch. Rock star Kid Rock used several Bud Light cans as target practice in the video, and there have been widespread backlash on social media, while beer distributors are now concerned, as they should be. A spokesperson for Budweiser said, Anheuser-Busch works with hundreds of influencers across our brands as one of many ways to authentically connect with audiences across various demographics. From time to time, we produce unique complimentary cans for fans and for brand influencers like Dalen or Vanning. I think y'all should just wake the fuck up and realize that you need to fire your marketing woman that did this shit, because you're losing your ass right now, and it's only just began. Multiple guests debate on a Wednesday episode of a Dr. Phil. And I'm only sharing this with you because you really need to hear it, okay? Trust me. Multiple guest debate on a Wednesday episode of Dr. Phil over whether being inclusive to transgender people cheapens the idea of womanhood. Dr. Phil spoke to guests and the audience about how the term women was increasingly being replaced with gender-neutral terms, such as birthing person and persons with uteruses, in order to cater to transgender policies. He brought in multiple female guests as well as transgender activists to debate whether the push towards inclusion actually leads to the erasing of women. Women's activist Kara Dansky defended the accomplishments of women throughout history, arguing that they are biologically distinct group. Dr. Phil earlier was talking about how the women's movement has achieved certain objectives. Women have had to fight for our rights for thousands of years all over the world and for hundreds of years in this country because we have been discriminated against and excluded from public civil society, from the education arena, and from the legal arena, from numerous arenas on the basis of sex, she recalled. And many of us who support these movements are not about to turn around and pretend that sex is not a meaningful, legal, and physical category. HIV and trans activist Chana Moore argued that transgender people who identify as women should be included as women, asking, so why not have another group of women join your fight in order to have more force in numbers? When asked if trans women are welcome to join the movement, Dansky drew a firm line. I don't mean men. I mean women. It's not a matter of opinion. We're talking about the material reality of biological sex, which is grounded in science and reality, Dansky declared. Women are female and men are male, and it's okay to say that. It's okay to say that. It really is. Another guest introduced himself as Danny and said, I'm a non-binary birther. For those of you who don't know, I gave birth to my child 20 months ago at home, It was beautiful. It was a spiritual experience. I did it as a non-binary person, not as a woman, just to be very clear. While claiming to not want to erase women, Danny suggested that giving birth does not necessarily make someone a mother. By no means do I want to erase women, but there's a difference between division and inclusion. No, you silly, warped brain dumbass. I don't want to create division. I use birthing person. I'm not a woman. I do not identify as a mother. I know many women who have given birth who don't identify as mothers because there's a difference between the two, Danny claimed. But going back to me, just because I gave birth doesn't mean a woman or a mother, and there needs to be a space in the birthing world that allows me to show up as a birthing person. Danny complained that there is a lack of media validating the idea that not all people who give birth are women. There is no language. There's no books. There's very few podcasts. When I was pregnant, I had very little support outside my community as a birthing person because of the lack of exclusive language. And exclusive language isn't just about language. It's about opening doors. It's about safety. It's about creating space for others, Danny claimed. We don't want to push women out. We want to join you in your fight because we know what it feels like to be erased every single day. And we're not wish that upon anyone. Dr. Phil turned to Moore and asked whether the activists wanted to erase the concept of women. I agree with Danny 100%. We love women. They're at the front of this for us, but we need to be included in this mission that they're on because we're here, Moore said. Regardless of what you say, my generals are, I'm still here representing myself as the woman of trans experience that I am. I would like somewhat clarification on when I had anything to say about your body at all, Danskin replied. Look, I've said this once. I've said it 1,000 fucking times. I guess it doesn't really matter how many times we say it because the left doesn't seem to grasp the concept of simple biology. You can identify as anything you want. If you want to identify as this coffee mug, fucking go for it. You want to identify as a cat? I don't give a shit. But only women, not trans women, trans woman is something you're calling yourself. Only women, biological born women, have uteruses and have what it takes to cook a baby in their body and then produce it. Men do not have that ability. All the men out there that used to be women, they may have changed their hormone stuff, testosterone. They may have lobbed their boobs off. They may have a short haircut. They may grow facial hair. But if they didn't remove their female parts inside their body, then they can have a baby. And that's who these people are that are doing this and claiming, look at me, I'm non-binary, or I'm a male. Men can have birth, can give birth. So let's call them birthing people and not mothers. Get the fuck out of here with that insanity. You can't do it. Only women can have a baby. Not all women, because some women don't have the capability of doing that. But if you're born with male DNA, guess what you're not going to have in your body? Because there's no place for it. A baby. So stop with the silly nonsense. This is going, it's sadly, these people don't realize how dumb they sound. And it's spreading like a fungus. It's all over the place. It's being covered everywhere you can look. And, there's people like Time Magazine, doing articles and pictures of what supposedly is a man, looks like a man, pregnant and giving birth to a baby and calling it a man. Look, it can be done. No, it can't be done, you idiots. It's not a man. It was born as a woman and has female parts that weren't removed. Had they been removed, guess what you're not going to have? A baby. If you're born a biological man, guess what you're not ever going to have? A baby produced inside your body. You can go adopt. So stop with this fucking stupid shit that's coming out. Here's who's hurt the worst by this. All right, you ready for this? It ain't me, okay? I laugh at it, all right, because it's fucking stupid. Anybody that falls along that category of believing this crap, then you're just a freaking idiot, all right? There's no help for you. Here's who it hurts. Here's who's looking at this because they get lumped into this because it's, quote, the LGBTQ community. And that is men and women that are gay or bisexual. They're lumped into this and they're all looked at as freaks, and they're not. Okay? They're not. But because of this crazy crap that's coming from these people on the far left, that's who's suffering. The men and women out there that are gay or bisexual, because they lump them into this with these transsexuals, these circus clown motherfuckers that dress up for story hour, dress up, looking like freak women, not even looking like a real woman. You're hurting the cause. It's like those that claim racism for something that's not racist. It just is in your fucking mind, but it's not in reality. The only people being hurt by that are those that are actually affected by racism. And that happens in America to white people, black people, Muslim people, Hispanic people. Happens to everyone. But you're minimalizing what they're going through when you do this silly shit. And that's sad. I know that those that are in the gay community and bisexual community are looking at this going, fuck. Why are y'all doing this? Put it into your own category so that we don't get lumped into this shit with you guys, because we're not in it. We're not in it. Moving on. And if this doesn't piss you off, well, nothing will. What a way to start off this next story. And folks, this is being reported right now on militarynews.com. The United States Army at the Command and General Staff College at Fort Leavenworth is teaching officers an intermediate level education that white people can't experience racism, defining racism as a complex system of beliefs and behaviors that result in the oppression of people of color and benefit the dominating group. Definition of racism is taught in an elective course called Race and Gender in the U.S. Military History, which is available for up to 32 students each year. So each year, the United States Army Command General College can bring in 32 young officers and brainwash them into believing shit that's not true. The course is taught by Angela Riotto, R-I-O-T-T-O, an assistant professor at the college. Who first reported on this course was TRMLX. The course description states that an effective military only functions under the principles of equality and inclusion. Manpower policies regarding inclusion and equality is only changed when forced to be by the necessities of war or from outside social and political influence, it continues. This course will examine the history of service of minority groups and women in the U.S. military, major amendments to manpower policies, and historic problems with presenting a less than unified force. Lieutenant Colonel Josh Cameron told American Military News in an email that the course is discussion-based and said it provides a historical overview of minority groups and women in the United States military. Definitions of terms like racism, sex, and gender provided in the class are used as baseline definitions to facilitate discussions on the topic. Students are intellectually challenged and not taught to accept any one point of view, but to critically examine and discuss sometimes controversial concepts in the coursework, Cameron said. The course also identifies gender as a set of social constructed characteristics such as norms and behaviors typically associated with being masculine, feminine, or other. The Command and General Staff College is at the forefront of building Army leaders ready to fight and win our nation's wars, Cameron told American Military News in an email. Students receive top-of-the-line instructions from some of the very best minds in the country. Training is regularly updated to provide engaging and relevant courses to prepare Army leaders to succeed in a wide range of challenging environments. In order to become qualified for a promotion to lieutenant colonel, Army majors must attend this course, according to fiscal year 2023 enrollment guide. The Command and General Staff Officers course is the Army's graduate level curriculum and instructions for field grade officers and is commonly referred to as an intermediate level education, the guide states. It is the next required professional military educational course to be completed after Captain's Career Course. ALE educates and trains leaders to conduct divisive action in the environment and advises the art and science of the profession of arms to support the operational requirements of the United States Army. Cameron told American Military News that definitions for the course come from the Department of Health and Human Services and provide a link to the department's key terms and acronym for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Other DEI definitions listed on the HHS website include anti-racism. It's a policy or practice of actively and conclusively opposing racism and promoting racial equality. Social justice is a vision of a socialized and distributing equity resources to all individuals. Undocumented is a foreign-born person living in a country without legal citizen status. Cisgender refers to people whose assigned sex at birth aligns with their gender identity. Gender identity is one's internal sense of being a man, a woman, neither of these, both, or another gender. Gender is a social, not biological construction. Heteromonadity, whatever the fuck that word is an assumption that heterosexual is natural, ideal, or superior to other sexual preferences. Misgendering is referring to the use of language to describe a transgender person that does not align with their affirmed gender. For example, calling a transgender woman he or him. We don't want to do that, do we? Non-binary refers to a person whose gender is neither male or female. They're just an it. Sex assignment at birth is the biological category, female, male, or intersex, given at birth based on biological characteristics, physical anatomy, and hormones. Environmental racism is the disappropriation impact of environmental hazards on people of color. The United States military has gone woke. We're fucked. Seriously, literally. What's happening in this country right now, I've said this before, I continue to say it until it changes, and I don't see it changing in my lifetime, is that sadly, this is not the America that I served and fought for. I've told this story before, and I'll share it with you right now for those of you that have never heard it, or maybe you're new to my show. One of my great uncles, Charlie Rochelle, he served in World War II on the USS Milwaukee first, and then the USS Biloxi. And during World War II, his ship was hit by a kamikaze pilot, Japanese pilot, that flew into the side of it, and one of his best friends was killed in that attack. He was injured, but not severely. And after the war was over with, he like many that served in World War II, had a dislike for the Japanese people. They were unsettled by being around people that appeared to be Asian. And I get it, because of what you experienced with them doing very inhumane and brutal things to your fellow shipmates or soldiers or airmen that are captured, not following the Geneva Convention for the POWs. It became something that stuck with many of them throughout the rest of their life. Okay. Kind of like for those of us that served in the military and fought in the Middle East. All right. For instance, when you see somebody that you know is Muslim or they're speaking Arabic, it makes your senses go up, and it makes you know, it's not racism. It's just that you dealt with this in a combat environment that was very, very difficult and mentally challenging for such a long period of time that it's going to take a long time to deprogram you from thinking or feeling that way, if ever. Okay. So that's how I guess I can compare these two. So throughout my life, I remember that anytime we would go to a restaurant, for instance, if our waiter happened to even look like they were from an Asian country, my uncle could not have them wait on us. We either had to move to another section or they had to get a different waiter or waitress. It was that bad. And of course, back then, as I was growing up as a kid, I didn't understand that, okay, because I wasn't in World War II. I get it now, later, how that connection can happen by my experiences in the Middle East. But as it came for his final days on Earth, and I was sitting with him, and we were discussing what's happening to our country. And at the time, Barack Obama was the president of the United States. And in our last conversation with each other before he passed, he said, I can't wait for this to be over with. I don't want to lie here anymore because I don't recognize this country. If you could allow me, if God could allow me to live to be 130, I wouldn't want to do it, because this is not the America that I served for and fought for. I don't recognize this country anymore. He died a few days later. It was difficult for me to grasp the meaning of what he was saying, because I was in the military at that time. And Barack Obama was my commander in chief. And it probably wasn't until Obama's second term when it really started to sink in how one could feel so disheartened by their own country. And it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not about America. It's not about the United States. It's not about our country per se, because I love America. Okay. I love our founding fathers. I love our Constitution. It's about our government. I've had the opportunity through military service to travel all over this globe, literally, to a lot of countries. I've always looked forward to returning back home to America. And only people that have had the opportunity to go to other countries can say what I'm about to say to you, and that is that we are the greatest country on God's green earth. We are. That's a fact. Those that say we're not or don't know, well, they've never been anywhere else to see how bad it is compared to us. But still, sitting here today, I can relate finally to what my Uncle Charlie was referring to, as can many, many military veterans and many patriots that have fought and bled for this country, by saying that this is not the country that you fought and served for. You don't recognize it anymore. Not based on the country, but based on what the government is doing to the country. Okay? There's a difference there. There's a fine line there. Understand where that fine line is. America's beauty isn't going to change unless it's changed by a nuclear war, which this administration seems to be hell-bent on leading us into. Once again, we're back in the Cold War with Russia. But other than that happening, when it comes to what's happening in America on racial lines, on justice lines, whether it's social justice or it's legal justice, we're still better than everyone else. When it comes to technology, when it comes to the environment, when it comes to, you pick anything, pick any subject and put us up against any other country, and we beat them hands down. So that's the line. The other part of that line is what happened to the Democrat Party by allowing far-left liberal ideology to infiltrate it and destroy it. And that's who has been in charge for a long time. Even when we had our last president, Donald J. Trump, a Republican president, He couldn't run this country the way he wanted to because he was constantly battling lawsuits and impeachment shit being thrown at him with no merit at all of it proven to be bullshit, lies, and faked and made up crap, that he couldn't do what he needed to save us from what 8 years of Obama did to us. So the liberals continued to push during his 4 years. And now we have another 4 years of a senile old man wearing diapers up in Washington that walks around with his head up his ass, doesn't know who he is, walks around after giving conversations, wanting to shake hands with the air with somebody that's not even there, saying shit that doesn't make any sense, giving a speech, and then going off into some bullshit about his hairy legs and how he likes to sniff hair or kids. And my God, the creepy shit he does when he's posing for pictures with a family that has little kids, and he's petting their fucking hair and he's kissing them and sniffing them. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? I once was a proud member of the Democrat Party. And then I realized that the party in general was nothing but a bunch of racist bigots that didn't give a fuck about not only black people, but they didn't give a fuck about this country. And they wanted everybody to believe, especially our youth growing up, that we're no better than anybody else. And then they start pushing their radical agenda about, oh, let's see, the trans crap and men being able to have babies and police are bad. And their kids look up to people like Colin Kaepernick instead of veterans or our military or members of law enforcement. That nappy-headed son of a bitch that lied and is still lying today about what's happening in America on racial lines. Ask any of them to name it, prove it, show it. They can't do it. They just talk about it. And the Democrat Party of today has taken on their ideology and is spreading it across this nation. Therefore, our government is fucking ruining our history. It will take a Republican president, a Republican Senate, and a Republican Congress or House, at least 8 years, 12 years minimum to even start to turn around what they've done to it. And it would be nice to say that I would see that in my lifetime, but I know I won't. And that's sad. Anyhow, you had a lot of places you can be tonight. You chose to be here with me. And for that, I am forever grateful. Please keep Border Patrol Agent Chris Cabrera in your thoughts and prayers with his family. I will not be doing a show on Tuesday because my wife and I are going to pack up tomorrow and we're going to hit the road and go down to Florida for a little vacation. It is my birthday on Monday. I turn 61 years old. Where did the time go? And I want to spend my birthday on the beaches in Florida. So we'll be back for the show next Thursday. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe to this channel. Please go check out DouglasDucote.com. Also, my other YouTube channel, Charlie Hotel 47. Spread the news, share it with your family and friends. And in the information section on this video, all my shows and all my videos, you can see the places on social media where you can follow me. Please like and follow me there, and I'll do the same for you. That's how this whole thing works. We continue to spread conservative news and news that's good for all American patriots. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. And if you do not know what Blue and Gold Star families are or what angel families are, please look it up. They need our support more now than ever before because the current administration is pissing on the graves of their loved ones. And that is unacceptable. Good night, everyone. And I'll see you next week on Thursday night right here at 8 p.m. Central. Something breaks or is very, very important that I just got to step away from the beach and a Mai Tai, then I'll do a video about it. Or if something cool happens, I'll do a video. But other than that, I plan on just kicking back and my wife and I enjoying each other and enjoying the sun and the sand. So take care. I'll see you all next week. Good night, everyone.